Okay. Ooh! That was a really clean clap. Holy shit, that was awesome. Anyways, here we are. Project Horizons Chapter 14. This is Strength. The Strength of the Black Panther. Stripped away. Overall, it's fine. It's another one of those chapters where I'm like, I like it, I suppose, but there's things that I really don't care for. Thematically, I don't know if that's the term I really want to use, but I was talking a couple chapters ago that there was something I was going to say in chapter 14, and this is it. This is what I like to call a hangover chapter. That term was inspired by the album American Idiot, where is it Billy Joel or Billy Joe Armstrong? I think it's Joe with no L, but anyways, the lead singer of Green Day described tracks 3 and 4 of the album, that's Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, as Holiday is the party, it's this big celebration. Boulevard of Broken Dreams is the hangover, where now that all the fun has happened, your character just kind of has to live with the fact that shit has happened. So for me, anytime I read like a chapter or watch an episode of something where most of it is just dealing with shit that happened and how the characters in the story are processing it, I tend to refer to those as hangover chapters. We've already had a couple in Horizons, and I don't think I've referred to them as such. Prices, Chapter 7, Annie Up, Chapter 10. Very strong hangover chapters. Chapter 3, no, because Chapter 3 is not a hangover chapter because Scootle doesn't die in Chapter 2. She dies partway through Chapter 3. And then, it's not even that, like, all of Chapter 4 is a hangover chapter, because it's also introducing Glory. So not quite, but definitely 7 and 10. And if you see my videos on them, I really liked 7 and 10. I tend to, I guess I don't always really like hangover chapters. It depends on how well it's done. Personally, I thought those two were done very well. This one, not as much. So getting into the chapter and, like, our basic plot, so you've got Blackjack giving Glory her space and giving her space while Glory can ruminate on what happened and Blackjack can ruminate on what happened. Blackjack ends up starting a fire. My understanding of when I was reading it was, okay, so I think she's just trying to like burn down some of the base and it attracts some nearby Pecos and Blackjack's like, hey, you want to fucking kill people? And Glory's like, sure. So they kill a bunch of people because I guess this is the shit I don't like. I've talked to death about it already, which is why it's a problem. We're only on chapter 14 out of 80, and there's these moments where I'm like, Blackjack, you keep saying, I want to do better, I want to be a better person, I want to be kind, I'm not an executioner, which she has the fucking gall to say in this chapter, while also being like, look, I just kind of want to kill people to vent my frustration. Let me do this. And again, you don't see her shoot to disarm. You don't see her try to disengage. It's just, I'm just going to fight. I'm just going to kill. Oh, now that someone's running, hey, I'm not an executioner. I'm going to let him go. And that is the shit about her character that I fucking hate and will always fucking hate. Maybe there's something in the Lucidity Lens that will make me not hate it. I don't even think so. It's just, as I've said a few times, and will keep saying throughout the entirety of this fucking story, it's like there's times when Blackjack is genuinely written to be the character she wants to be. I don't want to hurt people, I don't want to kill people, and when I do, it takes a toll on me, but it has to be a last resort. Then you have Blackjack being written as this gun-toting, catchphrase-spewing action hero who does cool shit and kicks ass. But they don't feel compatible. I know one of her big inspirations was Vash the Stampede. Vash could be both of those things, because Vash didn't fucking kill people. He did cool shit, but didn't kill. If Blackjack did cool shit, but just didn't kill, I wouldn't have a problem unless it was I'm killing as a last resort. You're like, okay, that's fine. When it's the first resort and you're the aggressor, no, this doesn't work. I don't believe you anymore when you say, I want to be better, because you're not. And you put yourself in these situations and then don't try to be better. Fuck you, Blackjack. It's one of those chapters. Aside from that, you get Blackjack listening to another recording of her in P2-1. I'm like, this is the shit I like. This is the shit when she has to ruminate on it and confront it, or I'm like, this is interesting. This is fucking... Oh, sorry, I got a text from something. I'll check that in a second. But, blah, 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 blah. That's shit that I like. The whole thing with Stable 90, I really didn't care about. It's this unfinished stable, and its overmare had to watch over what was happening, because she's like, someone should have to sit here and record this, I guess. I was bored listening to it. I'm like, okay, it's more dark shit in a story that, again, 14 chapters in, is already... Hold up, I got another text. Is this important? Oh, sorry, yeah. Nothing to worry about, yeah. It's more dark, fucked up shit in a story that 14 chapters in is already really dark and fucked up and is just gonna get worse. In terms of, like, the Lucidity Lens, I don't know. I didn't care enough to really think about it. In terms of overall big picture and plot, this isn't that important. It's just kind of there. And that was how I read it. It's like, this is here. And then at the end, they get attacked by Leo and his droogs. So like, all right, there's another Zodiac encounter. I guess it's kind of cool, but ish. We get Blackjack's chem addiction. There's a little bit more done with it. Most importantly, it introduces us to Rampage. And I'll talk about Rampage here in a bit. I have a lot to say. I'm gonna talk some shit. It's Project Horizons. I have a lot of shit to say. But please trust me when I say, genuinely, she's one of my favorite characters in the story. And the story is better with her in it. For the most part. But getting into old Blackjack over here. It's like I was saying a little bit ago. This is the character I remember. The character who says, I'm not an executioner. Oh, that guy's running. He gets to go. But trust me, I'm not. Like a few chapters ago, when I see her sparing the people in Stockyard and saying, hey, I will disarm you and disengage, but I won't kill you. I believe it when she says she wants to do better. When she has Rose at gunpoint and then is like, I'm not going to pull the trigger and give you a chance. That is when she doesn't fucking push the button on the dude in the mine. You see those moments when she's tested and her saying, okay, this isn't always easy, but I will do better and I will be better. And how quickly she just seems to forget that. But will still cling to it. Cause I'm like halfway through 15. I know I said I wasn't going to read anymore until I caught up, but I didn't finish the chapter, so I don't feel like I went against that. And also, like, look, it was a long road trip. I was like, I could get some Horizons in. Where she's like, I want to be better and do better and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, Blackjack, literally in the last chapter, you were pissed off. And understandably angry because of everything that happened with Lighthouse. Like, I don't want to downplay that. You're like, I'm angry. I need to vent this shit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a fire. I'm going to blow some shit up. People are going to be attracted to it. They're going to want to do something to me. So it's okay if I start shooting back, right? Like, that's not what doing better or being kind. That's not how that shit works, Blackjack. But you get other good shit from Blackjack. Like, her really starting to understand how fucked up Stable 99 was. And again, we've been kind of getting this for a while. And it's also, again, one of those chapters when Blackjack has to be confronted with her systemic sexism. And it's shit I find really fucking interesting. Especially, again, in the next chapter when she's like, I raped him. There's no other way around it. That is what I did. And I'll talk about that when we get to that chapter. I'm like, huh. Oh, this has some really interesting Lucidity Lens, like, implications. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Blackjack in her chem arc of she's taking a bunch of chems and they're fucking up her body and they're kind of fucking up her mind a bit too, but not as much as they're fucking up her body. And they're keeping her going and she's got this addiction, but she'll kick it pretty soon. In a vacuum, I kind of like it. It shows more of that perseverance of Blackjack and her dedication. She's like, look, I don't care what happens to me as long as Glory is okay and as long as P21 is okay. And if I can make sure they're okay, if I can fix my problems with the two of them, at this point mostly him, I will be all right. I just have to keep going. I have to push myself. And if I have to, like, destroy my body to do it, I will destroy my body to do it. That is very in character with Blackjack. And I do like it. I do find it to be pretty interesting. Just, again, the lengths she will go to see her goals achieved. Something we talk about near the finale is Blackjack's cutie mark. Her talent is victory. And sometimes those victories are very Pyrrhic. And we're going to see a lot of those, like when we get to 33. But in a vacuum, I think it does a good job of really showing Blackjack's character and her perseverance. In terms of, like, the full picture of this story and the other story, I don't like it, and I've kind of never liked it, because I can't read this part of the story without thinking to myself, hey, remember when Little Pip was addicted to the Party Time Mentals? And remember how it really affected her character, and we see how it affected her relationships to the point where her friends had an intervention, and, like, I almost said Glory, when Velvet goes for it, Pip's like, you know what? This would have a, like, you be doing an intervention on my behalf would have a lot more weight if you weren't emotionally manipulating me just a little bit ago. It's not that I don't think you're my friend. It's not that I don't think you're right, but fuck you is so satisfying. And then you get the relationship with Homage, because I always pronounce that word with, like, a silent H. It's probably wrong, but I think it sounds nicer than homage. I don't like having that phlegm in my throat when I say homage. Anyways, the point is because, like, they have a relationship, they really care about each other, and Homage is seeing what Pip is doing to herself mentally and emotionally. I think it's affecting her physically as well. It's like, I can't let you do this. I can't watch you destroy yourself. I can't watch another person that I've started to care about and respect destroy themselves. And Pip's like, okay, if I want to keep this relationship, I have to change something. I have to fix something. And then you have Calamity, who's the one that got her hooked on that shit in the first place. And him seeing his best friend's self-destruction because of something he did is one of my favorite scenes of the entire story, is when they just sit and talk about it. It is a genuinely impactful moment, and I think it's a very strong part of Pip's character and her arc as a whole. Here, I just feel like... Sorry, I wanted to put my feet up on this chair, so I had to go grab it real quick. To me, this just feels like Project Horizon's really weak attempt at doing the same thing of, hey, Little Pip was addicted to a drug. What if Blackjack was addicted to, like, 5? And what if they were all killing her at the same time, but she's so badass and she's so strong and she perseveres. She just keeps going through it. And even her friend Glory's like, yo, Blackjack, you should be fucking dead at this point. But she's so cool. She can tough it out. And, yo, it took Little Pip so long to deal with her addiction. What if for Blackjack it was like 4 chapters worth? And, yo, it's so easy. She's just done. And then we can move on to other shit and not have to deal with it. That's how it feels reading it. And maybe I'm being too mean. It's Horizons. I can be very mean to this story when I want to. It's Blackjack. I can be very mean to her when I want to. But it's how it always felt to me. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I got really tongue-tied there. And again, with the benefit of the doubt, I think it works fine. I think, again, it is a solid way of showing her perseverance. And maybe it wasn't meant to be like I'm trying to one-up Little Pip. It might have very much been more of an homage, pun intended, I guess. Or just, this is something it's a tool to, again, show this aspect of Blackjack's character. To me, it just doesn't hit as hard. And there's other moments of the story that feel like, well, Little Pip fought a dragon early on, so Blackjack did too. Hey, Little Pip ends up going to the sky. Blackjack can do that too. Hey, Little Pip only had telekinesis. Blackjack too, but then even though Little Pip is like, telekinesis is her thing, she couldn't use mind bullets, but Blackjack can. Oh, Little Pip was kind of like marginally tangentially related to a to a ministry mare. Blackjack is the direct descendant of one. Like, come on. If Pip can do it, like, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. It's those moments that make me think that's how this feels like it was intended to go, and I just hate it. But shouting out the Lucidity Lens, I feel like this probably represents Blackjack's real-world, like, coping mechanisms, because I imagine, especially with how much Blackjack loves alcohol, that was probably her coping mechanism of choice, and it's just referencing her addictive personality and how it was destroying her. And I do admittedly find that shit pretty interesting. Now we get to Rampage. Now we get to one of the goated-ass characters in the story. So, at face value, Rampage is, to me, she just kind of has that, like, big sister energy. Like, she's the big unga-bunga muscle of the team. She's the one that's always cracking jokes. She's the super violent character. But from what I remember, she's kind of the group therapist at the same time. Like, when people really go through the ringer, Rampage is the one that will really sit down and listen. She's the one that's able to give advice. Probably because one of her personalities was a therapist. Big fucking pin in that. And it's an aspect of her character that I really like, especially because you don't expect it from Rampage of all people, but it shows that there is a lot of depth here. Also in face value, to me, Rampage has two major character arcs. One I really like, one I really don't like, but there's an element of it that I do really fuck with. So going to the one that I just like, and even then it kind of has its problems, it's her being an immortal who wants to die. So I'll go over the thing I don't like about it, straight up. I grew up watching the Boo saga, and I fucking hated it. And why I fucking hated it is just seeing Boo get absolutely blasted and destroyed and just, oh yeah, he's fine. Oh yeah, he's fine. Nothing we do matters because he's just fine. It kind of ruined healing factor to regeneration for me as a power. Wolverine, I think Wolverine kind of gets away with how fucking cool Wolverine is. And you don't see it to that degree of Majin Buu. From what I remember, there's times where we see it with Rampage, and I'm like, I don't love this. Especially in a scenario, or like a setting like the Wasteland, Huffington in particular, where as fucked up and dangerous as it is, this character can just always come back. But I like Rampage a lot, so I can let it slide. Again, the idea of someone who has this power but doesn't want is like, I just want to die and be at rest, I find genuinely interesting. And it does lead to some fun shit where Rampage is like, look, I have nothing to lose. Either I don't die, which means I do work, or I do die and it's awesome. So she'll just throw herself into dangerous situations, kick ass, and then when she doesn't kick ass and does take substantial damage, it can get really creative, like graphically, and I'm like, this is cool. I like this. Let's go. The other thing I don't like are the multiple personalities. I don't know when we first... have we heard about Project Eternity yet? It might have been, like, in Chapter 5 when you've got Trottenheimer and his logs. PE as Project Eternity might have been mentioned. I don't remember who the head of Eternity was. I want to say it was just Rarity. That sounds right, but I'm not a hundo on that. But anyways, Project Eternity is the Phoenix Talisman, and the Phoenix Talisman is immortality. You know, a phoenix, you know, it dies and it comes back. This was about binding souls to an artifact, and basically, like, the magic of the souls would let a body keep regenerating forever, or at least, like, as long as the souls have energy, and souls having a fuck ton of energy, you know, some shit like that. Excuse me. Rampage has, like, how many souls are in her? The Angel of Death, Officer Softheart, there's a therapist. I don't remember whose therapist it was. Maybe it was Softheart's, I don't know. But there's a therapist in there. Twist is in there. Twist's girlfriend is in there. That's 5. That sounds about right. Maybe there's another 1 or 2 that I'm forgetting. I'm just going to say it's 5. So, Rampage has this shit that happens later on where she starts angsting about all these souls in her body. And she's like, look, I mean, there's all these different souls and personalities and memories. I don't know which one is the real me. Like, and, you know, I feel like I'm almost being eroded away. And I fucking hate it. And I have 2 reasons why. Number 1, this is coming from the character who has, like, the strongest presence and personality of the entire cast, except maybe Blackjack herself. So for Rampage, of all people, to say, I don't know who's the real me, is there even a real Rampage? Like, have you met you? I think we have a pretty good idea as to who the fuck you are. Shut up. 2. This should have been Lock-in-A. If her whole thing is, I am the dumping ground of the goddess, and every negative personality trait and thought is in me, you would think that is the character who's like, I don't know who the fuck I am, because I'm all of these people and none of them at the same time. And there's bits where Rampage is like, okay, let me access this soul real quick, and they'll, like, kind of possess her. I'm like, man, that'd be really cool if Lock-in-A did that. And I don't, maybe she does and I don't remember it, I'll be honest, but I don't remember it. I don't think she does that. Lock-in-A isn't like, man, you know, I've got all these personalities, let me figure out who is me and try to sift through it. She's just like, no, there isn't a me. And then Blackjack's like, there is! There's a real you! And then when you get to her death, it's, I guess there wasn't! She is just a fucking plot of, God, I hate Lock-in-A so much. Because to me, she's just nothing. This is an absolute nothing burger of a character that had so much potential. You give her this arc from Rampage, and there's so much shit you can do. You make her Jetstream, the person who actively has shit missing, and is, like, longing for that. She's longing for that completeness. And then when she gets it, maybe she does it before she dies. Or Blackjack the whole time is like, I know who you are, and I could give you this, but I don't know what it'll do to you, so I don't... I mean, she probably doesn't know it's Jetstream the whole time, because it's a while before she learns it's Psalm, and it's like, oh my god, I could help you, but will this help? Will this actually make you complete, or will it just break you even more? I don't know. Like, either one of those, if not both, I think is super interesting. And all I really remember from Lock-in-A is her just being there, and she just never left an impression. And of a story that has clearly left a huge impression on me. And main characters and antagonists and even side characters that left an impression. The fact that hers is like nothing is so wild to me. Take this shit from Rampage that she doesn't need and give it to Lock-in-A, who sorely did. But it's just another foo-foo. Just another Project Horizons fuck-up. But as much as I say I don't like all these other personalities and Rampage saying I don't know who's really me and all this shit, I like the Angel a lot. And I think the Angel could have worked even without the Phoenix Talisman. Now, in terms of Phoenix Talisman, it's immortality, like, sure, whatever. This is the only one that I think matters because it's super fucking important for Rampage and her identity. Rampage kills kids. And boy, do we see that later with Thorn, and fuck, that is devastating. We see it's part of her relationship with Priest, is that they had a relationship and they had a child, and then the Angel came out and now they don't. And it's just another burned bridge in her long history of burned bridges, and one of, I believe, the many reasons she wants to kill herself. We see it in her relationship with Scotch, like they got this big sister, little sister dynamic, and then there's some points when Rampage is like, hey kiddo, do you want me to make it better? And you're like, oh, is this Rampage asking, or is this the Angel? That's interesting shit. The reason I think it can still work without the Phoenix Talisman is just the idea that Rampage grew up in the Wasteland. She was a child and all this shit happened. And she had no one. Because her mom was dead and her dad is, less said about that shit the better. And her other mom is also dead. She was alone. And I could see the idea that as a child, maybe it's that she wanted to die, but what she wanted was for someone to take care of her. She wanted all of the hurt to go away. Again, if you want to see that as death, I can see that. If you just want to see it as someone helping, I can see that too. And now that she's an adult, at least physically, I don't know how much of an adult she is mentally, but she kind of still is in those moments where, again, she can be the group therapist. Sorry, what was I saying? I feel like as an adult, she's like, I want to take care of kids, and I want to make them feel better, and it'll make their hurt go away. And because of how she had to grow up, in the Wasteland, in this incredibly violent environment, and her being the way she is, it's kind of what makes sense to her. It's like the only way to help, the only way I can help is to make the pain go away forever. And you don't need the Phoenix Talisman to do that. It could just be, it's an alternate personality she has because it's how she copes with what she does. I think that works. I think that's super interesting. If you want to keep the Angels like the one personality that possesses her, I think that's fine. I just don't care about the other ones. Maybe rereading it, there'll be moments where I'm like, oh, okay, this part actually kind of works. But I just don't remember liking it. And then big picture moments, which my only note for this is honestly, I don't have any. Like Stable 90 from when I remember never comes back. And again, Blackjack and the Chem arc, well, we're in the middle of it. It's not really a big picture thing anymore. Blackjack and P21 and his logs, again, we're in the thick of it. It's not really a big picture thing anymore. Meeting Rampage, there's not like a lot of big picture shit that happens. I don't even think there's been any allusions to the Phoenix Talisman. if I'm talking about her character, I gotta talk about it. There's nothing here. As for the catchphrase counter, we got a few uses of I'm not a smart pony. A couple of them were not quite there, but it's like, I'm an idiot, where I'm like, it's not the same words, but it's the same idea. I'm kind of going to count it. And we did get a couple more uses of I'm not an executioner, which, again, in context, really pissed me off. So Red is Dead is at 6, Executioner is at 4, Security Save is at 1, Annie Up is at 5. I think we actually got another Annie Up in this one. And Not a Smart Pony is at 18. It is thoroughly in the lead, but there's a lot of story left where that can change. Now, as for the kill count, I have Blackjack's kill count at 17. So, I made sure to note the kills. So this is kind of how I did it. I counted 8 with the Pecos. She said there was about a dozen, but I personally counted 8 and a 9th that escaped. And I'm not going to say like, well, she said a dozen. I'm going to count 12 minus 1. I counted what I've shown. Of Leo's bounty hunters, it sounded like she killed about 3. And then they mention there's about half a dozen or so before Rampage goes to work. So I counted another 6 from that. And yes, I am counting Rampage's kills, and here's why. Number 1, look, I want to see big numbers. Blackjack's I'm not an executioner bullshit. I want it to be as high as possible, as much of a fuck you as I can. Because when she has chapters like this that just make me mad, I'm like, you know what? Out of spite, let's get a big number. And also monkey brain, just like big number. Number 2, because Blackjack and Glory were actively fighting and killing the bounty hunters, Rampage joining in and killing them as well. It's not like a Lancer situation where it's like we're working together and I'm going above and beyond what we agreed to. She's kind of doing the same shit, just doing more of it. So I think it's okay. And also, because Rampage doing this is specifically to save Blackjack. Again, it's not like a Lancer situation where, hey, I'm just going to kill because I can. It's, I am killing to save you and killing the same people y'all were just killing. This is fair. So with the Pecos, the 8 that I counted is there's a leader that she says she takes out. And then, because she's got a rifle, and she's like, all right, I took out the leader, and then it's like the rifle spat, and it spat again. To me, that all of those sounded like kills, so that's 3. Glory gets one with the beam pistol. There's a claw that rips out of Pecos' throat as he's screaming for his mom. That's 5. She specifically says she turned someone's head into paste. That Sats burst into a dude's head, and Glory liquefies someone else. That's 8. And the bounty hunters, one was decapitated by gunfire. It's really fucking cool, by the way. A 12 gauge to the head, mine bullets into someone's face. And again, Rampage, it says there's half a dozen, and then they're all dead except Leo, but I don't think he was counted in that half a dozen. So I'm just saying 6 for a total of 8, 6, and 3. So that's 14 plus 3 is 17. Blackjack's total after 14 chapters is 135. Baby girl's doing numbers. So that's where we're at. I am now caught up on chapters that I have finished. And I finally did my flip side video, so that's done too. So in terms of videos, 15 and 16, when I'm done with them, I'm expecting to read through 15 either today or tomorrow. Today is Wednesday, by the way, so hopefully Friday or maybe Saturday, but Friday or Saturday, I should be able to get a chapter done for 15. Depends on how, like, extensive my notes are and how much I'll have to fuck with. Clay and I still need to do that fucking Adventure Time Season 6 video. I don't know when we're going to do it. I don't know if we're going to do it, but I want to. I really want to do a video talking about Ringu and The Ring, because we did a double feature last week, and I enjoyed them a lot. And I want to do a video comparing and contrasting, like, this is why I enjoyed both movies. Here's what this movie did a little better. Here's what this movie did a little better. Here's that goofy ass horse scene from the American version. It was so funny. But anyways, that's that. We're making progress. I'll see you later. I missed it.